Yup, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Welcome back, everyone. As promised in my last video, here is the next destination in my ongoing motorcycle touring trips. Northern Spain's glorious PICOS de Europa forms the content for this episode, including part of the amazing off-road trans-European trail, stretching from Espinama to Sotres. After my successful trip to the French Alps earlier in July, I was really looking forward to this one. We'd booked it for the end of August, beginning of September, hoping that the weather will be as kind to us as it was for my solo trip in July. The start of the trip for me was a 6-hour ride down to Plymouth from East Yorkshire to meet up with James at the DFDS ferry port. This would be my first time using the very popular ferry from England to Santander in Spain. Although at first it looked very expensive for a crossing, I'd tried to work out costs and time compared to riding through France as done in my previous trips, and to be fair, it worked out very similar. So for this one, ferry crossing it was. After a relatively smooth 20-hour crossing, we landed in Santander. From there, once we finally managed to get out of Santander due to sat-nav issues, it was an easy couple of hours ride to our base camp in the medieval town of Potes. As we approached Potes, the scenery became very dramatic, and I remembered the videos I'd watched of other people's trips to this area, and realized I was on part of the N621. Unfortunately for us, this beautiful entrance to Potes was undergoing major roadworks that looked like they will be there for quite some time to come. So unfortunately, it was stop-start traffic for quite a few miles. After checking into the very nice and well-situated Hotel Valdecoro, we headed into the town for some food and drink, and to discuss tomorrow's off-road riding. We chose to do the Trans-Eurotrail section from Espinama to Sotres. At this point, I need to point out that neither of us have had any off-road experience at all. And although the trail is actually only around 9 miles across, it would turn out to be a very challenging and eventful 9 miles. We had a panic moment quite early on. After stopping to put the drone up, James's bike refused to start. After a minute or two fiddling with the key fob, it finally did. But as you can imagine, a dead bike in the middle of nowhere was a tad worrying, LOL. As you can see from this footage, the PICOS de Europa National Park is an absolutely stunning area. The sheer scale of your surroundings is hard to describe. I'd watched so many videos of this trail and thought to myself, wow, that looks stunning, but as with a lot of things, until you actually find yourself there, you can't appreciate the euphoria it brings. At this point, I'd already had my off. And unbeknown to us, I wasn't going to be the only one. Much to my embarrassment, my fall happened on the easy part of the trail. just showing that you need to have your wits about you when riding this trail. I had put 50/50 tires on my bike to help, but my lack of off-road experience unfortunately let me down early on. But I wasn't going to let some pain or a small amount of bike damage stop me from experiencing what laid ahead, not after all the planning, and especially not on our second day here. Tarmac-wise, you have to do the N621. It's a perfect blend of twisties, switchbacks, and smooth riding. Highlights in the area include the bear and the deer, a favorite stop point for bikers to sticker bomb with great views for miles. Somehow we missed the bear. Must have just been concentrating on the ride too much, I guess. But did manage to stop and see the deer. Great to see everyone's stickers. Of course, I'd forgot to bring mine. Another good road to check out was the N625. But basically, in this area, every road is great to ride. We were heading out at around 9:30 most days and not getting back till 5-ish, just as it should be on trips like this. The first of James's Falls. Something to bear in mind if you are planning on doing this ride solo. If you have a heavy bike, it's harder to pick it up if you have an off due to the loose gravel and rock-filled ground. Plus, with a max elevation of 4,844 feet, the air is definitely thinner, making an already tough job tougher. Luckily, neither of us sustained any major damage to our bikes. The crash bars did their job, and apart from a snapped clutch lever on mine, it was just scuffed paintwork and bruised egos. I'd wanted to book one of those off-road courses back in England before we came, but with one thing and another it didn't happen. But my advice would be, if like us you haven't off-roaded before, then do the off-road experience days that are available, because it's not always as easy as some riders and YouTube videos make it look. I'm sure the footage won't do it justice, but this section was amazing. Steep drop-offs on either side, views for miles, and a massive chunk of rock in the middle just sat there, waiting for every visiting biker's photo shoot. This is what I'd seen over a year ago while watching YouTube, thinking to myself, one day, and that one day became today. So far, I've been lucky. Every destination I've planned to go to has lived up to my expectations. Long may that continue, as I have plenty more destinations to visit. I can't believe I'm actually here. Although only a fairly short trail, we spent a good 2 hours crossing it, stopping to put the drone up, stopping to talk about the views, and of course, last but not least, to pick our bikes up. But all joking aside, how could you rush this? And why would you want to? Over a year's planning went into this 10-day trip, and so far on day 2, the wait was definitely worth it. From this point heading towards Satras, the terrain definitely got more gnarly. I'd be lying if I said the thought of coming off again didn't fill me with some trepidation, especially now we were on the more technical part of the pass. We'd both said in the planning stage we would try the trail, and if it got too bad, we would stop and turn around. But when you've traveled so far to experience something like this, it's hard to think sod it and turn around. I'm so glad we didn't. I know full well many who have done this part of T.E.T. trail won't have been fazed by it at all, and compared to some of the T.E.T., this will be a dawdle. But like us, if you are new to off-roading, my advice would be, try it at home first. See if it's for you. Don't wait till you're 58 years old to try it thousands of miles away from home. Laugh out loud. The local wildlife seemed totally unfazed by us riding through. Luckily, we didn't come across any of the sheepdogs that are often around, as apparently they are large and sometimes vicious. If you do visit this part of the world, but don't fancy the off-road section, then definitely Google the PICOS Triangle. That takes in all the best riding roads and sites in the area. Perfect, don't you agree? Back on the trail, this footage from James's bike just highlights how loose the rocks are under your tires. Was that maybe the best way to experience this trail? think James was beginning to think so a few moments later. It's hard to find a spot to stop if you have to. Due to being on a descent with loose rocks, I had to carry on past him, find a safe spot where I could get the bike on its stand properly, then walk back up to help him. By this point, I know we were both feeling fatigued, and I don't have a problem with admitting that, as I've seen other guys saying the same. It took a long 6 weeks and lots of sleepless nights before my ribs were back to normal. So glad these beautiful animals weren't a few meters further down the road as I came round the corner. These weren't the only animals we came across either. You'll find them at the side or even in the middle of the roads in certain areas. Be vigilant. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to follow more of my adventures. And by all means, comment below about your experiences if you've been to this amazing area. Just try not to be too harsh about our novice off-road debut. At least we gave it a go. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, as they say. The N621 and others in the area really are great roads for bikes. Most of them are twist after sweeping twist. The best times for trips to this area are between May and September. During our stay in August, we had mainly great weather, with temperatures in the comfortable mid-20s. A quick visit to the Spanish-French border. On one of our days, we took a trip out to visit the cave tunnel La Cuevona, a 300-meter-long illuminated natural rock tunnel that serves as the only access to the small village of Cuevas del Agua. Although it was something to see, it probably wasn't worth the 3-hour ride to get there in all honesty. But if it's on your route, then it's worth checking out. On first look, it appears that the route is only open to residents. But after walking through it first and speaking to people, the signage is up only to discourage heavy traffic flow going through on a regular basis. So it's set up to make it look like if you are not a resident, you will get fined. Plus, conveniently, some signage before the tunnel directs you to a privately run car park. Personally, I doubt it was official. There is a charge for cars. Bikes, however, were free. A couple of weeks earlier, part of the region had had horrendous fires. Due to the heat and dry conditions, the fires decimated large areas of countryside, closed roads, and had people have to evacuate their homes. We traveled through the aftermath of some of this and realized how widespread it had been. You can make out here on the left side of the road the ground is scorched black and brown from the previous wildfires. It was a lot worse than this in some of the areas we rode through. Unfortunately, on this trip, I lost a GoPro camera from the front of my bike. My fault for using an aftermarket mount. But more annoying than losing the camera was losing hours worth of footage, including the worst of the wildfire devastation. So, to summarize my time in the PICOS de Europa National Park, it was an amazing experience. Even though the trail proved a bit hard for us, We both agreed that we were so glad we'd experienced the thrill, beauty, and nervousness that it gave us. For me personally, I knew afterwards that off-roading wasn't for me, but man was I chuffed I'd tried, and tried it in such an amazing place. My goal for this video was to be honest, even though it basically shows our downfalls, literally. But as I said earlier, it's all good and well watching YouTube videos of people riding these type of trails with skill and finesse. But if you're just a middle-aged guy who loves riding two wheels and then thinks, I'll have some of that, just remember some of those guys have ridden off-road a lot of their lives and have a great skill set. Even now, while I'm putting this video together, I'm looking at the footage and thinking, it doesn't look that bad. But it was, for us at least. Not all of it, but some. Was I glad I did it? Yes. Will I try it again? No strictly tarmac for me from now onwards. I hope this vlog doesn't come across as negative, as the trip wasn't negative at all. It was amazing. I just want anyone thinking of doing these T.E.T. trails here or elsewhere in the world to be prepared for what can happen. As I finally got this edited and posted on my channel, it's now 2026. My next big trip this year will be August again. 2026 sees me heading to the Italian Dolomites for a 10-day tour. Mid-year, I will also be attending the Adventure Bike Festival for the first time, so onwards and upwards. There's still a big world out there for me to explore, and hopefully some of you will join me virtually on this channel. A big shout out to all motorcycle vloggers. Motorcycle touring vids are the only thing that keep me sane during winter. I'm constantly striving to make each of mine better than the last. Please leave any tips or hints in the comments section. I know some people don't like the AI commentary, which I'm looking into doing my own voiceovers, and others don't like the background music. Trust me, I'd love nothing more than to add a banging soundtrack, but then YouTube would only restrict it. If you've stayed with me to this point, I thank you. Hit that notification button to be notified as soon as new footage drops. Safe riding.